Hey everyone, this is the Lakers Legacy. It's lit. Let's get it. Today we're going to be talking about Dion Waiters and whether or not he can carve out a role for himself on this team as the Lakers head to Orlando to play in the resumption of the 2019-20 NBA season. In light of the recent Rondo news, with Rondo potentially being out for the next 6 to 8 weeks with a fractured right thumb, Dion Waiters now finds himself with a window of opportunity that could make him more than just an insurance-type player, but an actual integral piece to the Lakers' rotation, especially as it pertains to playmaking off the bench. Dion Waiters is a bucket getter who can call his own card, isn't afraid of isolation plays, knows how to break his man off the dribble from the perimeter, knows how to utilize crafty dribbles, crafty crossovers, spin moves, change of pace moves to get advantages on his defenders and take the ball right to the rim. He's also shown some surprising flashes of athleticism, tomahawking the ball down here and there over unsuspecting defenders. One ironic thing to note about Dion Waiters and J.R. Smith now both being on the Lakers is the fact that back in the 2014-15 season when LeBron James decided to return to the Cleveland Cavaliers, they were both involved in a three-way trade that had J.R. Smith going over to the Cleveland Cavaliers and Dion Waiters going over to the OKC Thunder. Dion Waiters actually was able to play with LeBron James for a portion of that year as well. So it's quite funny that 5 years later, both are now on the Lakers as these wild card primary scorers that the Lakers may look to in a break glass in case of emergency sort of scenario. Dion Waiters is 28 years old. He has played in 8 seasons. In his 8 seasons, Dion Waiters has only played in 60 or more games in 4 of those 8 seasons. He has had a lot of years cut short due to injury and other extracurricular circumstances. During the 2015-16 regular season, he played a pivotal role with the Oklahoma City Thunder, where he played 78 games, which is his second highest total of games played in his entire career. In those 78 games, he averaged 10 points, 2 assists on 40% from the field, and 36% from 3, hitting 1.1 a game. In the playoffs, he averaged 8.4 points, 2.4 assists on 42% from the field and 37.5% from 3, hitting 1.1 a game in 27 minutes. And during his stint with the Oklahoma City Thunder, Kevin Durant and Russell Westbrook actually relied on him to shore up the bench unit, provide that spark, and just be a tertiary playmaker, a guy who could create his own shot, break his man off the dribble, and break down the defense. Now, he's not going to get that many minutes with the Lakers if he even gets half of those minutes, but he at least has proven with the Oklahoma City Thunder that he knows how to take a backseat role and contribute in a more limited capacity where he's not the focal point of the offense. I think this should be a more realistic template to look at with regards to Dion Waiters as opposed to his time with the Miami Heat and the Cleveland Cavaliers earlier on in his career. One thing I really like about Dion Waiters' game is that it's very crafty. He's not lightning quick by any means, but he knows how to utilize his dribbles and combo that up with a nice change of speed game, where he is just yo-yoing the ball, slowly, almost lulling his defenders to sleep, and then at an instant's notice, he gets them with his first step and he charges right to the rim. The other thing that I like about Dion Waiters is his body type. He's this burly, Kyle Lowry, Baron Davis-esque sort of small guard who knows how to leverage and utilize his body when he goes into the lane. One thing that's surprising about Dion Waiters is how fluid and coordinated a player he is once he actually gets into the lane, where he's able to throw up these scoop-de-doo layups, these reverse layups off spins, and just navigate against the trees and just either get contact or avoid contact entirely. So I think that's one thing to notice about Dion Waiters. One thing that helps him out too is that he has a 6'7"-ish wingspan, and for a 6'2", 6'3" guard, that is pretty effective. Under LeBron James and Anthony Davis' guidance and the Lakers' overall defensive identity and mentality this year, one can wonder whether Dion Waiters will actually buy in on the defensive end more consistently as well. Sometimes you'll get some spectacular blocks that come out of nowhere. Another underrated part about Dion Waiters' game is his playmaking ability and skill. If you remember back in March when the Lakers were scouring the buyout market and they were potentially looking at Darren Collison, who eventually decided to stay retired, they were looking at him and J.R. Smith to potentially fill that void, and eventually settled on Dion. And I think that's primarily due to the fact that he is more of a playmaker at this point in his career and has shown the ability to make the right reads and effectively use the gravity that he's able to create off of his own drives and dribbles to actually create for his teammates as well. Especially given the loss of Rondo for at least the first round and a half, the Lakers are going to need to rely on Dion Waiters' playmaking and creation abilities to help take the on-ball creation burden away from LeBron James throughout the game. In a lot of ways, he has this very born-ready Lance Stephenson sort of wild, erratic play about him, but that can also be taken for the positive, as he has shown the ability to make some pretty wild, impressive, and flashy passes that a normal NBA player doesn't typically make. So in a lot of ways, I feel like Dion Waiters, in comparison to J.R. Smith, at least at this point in his career, is the more versatile player. And it's because of this that I think he will be able to carve out more of a defined role with the team as they head into the playoffs. I can see scenarios where, because J.R. Smith is a veteran and because he has such a glowing playoffs and finals resume, that he may end up closing some games or being pivotal to games being won. But on a more consistent basis, I could actually see a scenario where Dion Waiters is able to carve out 10 to 15 minutes for himself purely because he is able to primary create and primary playmake for other people. When LeBron James is off the court, they can give Dion Waiters the ball, ask him to create for himself or playmake for others, and he can do both effectively. The only thing that the Lakers will have to worry about is just honing in and shoring up some of Dion Waiters' erratic tendencies. Just like Lance Stephenson, he does have a tendency to over-dribble, pound the air out of the ball, and take some ill-advised shots. But under Frank Vogel, LeBron James, and Anthony Davis, one would have to think that he will be on his best behavior and focus more on the little things. But for the most part, he has a high upside and high ceiling, especially only being 28 years old. And over the quarantine months, he has definitely made an effort to slim down, and that should only help him with his conditioning and longevity in this playoff run. One additional positive from Dion Waiters is over the past few years, he has really improved himself as a three-point shooter, and that goes for his volume three-point makes as well as his percentage. During the 2016-17 season with Miami, he made 1.8 threes on 39% three-point shooting. Not including his 2019-20 Miami season where he only played 3 games, in 2018-19, Dion Waiters hit a career-high 2.5 threes a game on 37.7% shooting, and that will more than get it done. One can only hope that with LeBron James and Anthony Davis, his looks will increase from there, and he will be able to transition into more of a spot-up shooter, which the numbers say he has shown progress in this department as well, and he is not strictly a guy who needs to feel the energy from his own dribble bounce before hoisting up a three-point shot. Due to his previous solid years with Miami during the 2016 through 2019 seasons in which he averaged 15.8 points, 4.3 assists, 14.3 points, 3.8 assists, and then 12 points and 2.8 assists, Dion Waiters is a guy who, in previous Lakers summers, if the Lakers had signed him for the mid-level exception, fans would have thought that would have been a low-risk, very solid signing with upside. The fact that the Lakers have gotten him for free, and the worst that can happen is that he just sticks to the bench and doesn't get any minutes, it's quite the steal and just shows how far we've come as a team. One last thing to note about Dion Waiters is while he hasn't played a game with the Lakers yet, he was with the team back in March, and one would hope that Frank Vogel was already working with him and the coaching staff to find ways to integrate him slowly or even get him acclimated with the team's defensive concepts, offensive concepts. And so over the last few months, one would think that he's been locked into what the Lakers are trying to do, and he may be more ready to help than people anticipate. So all in all, I think that Dion Waiters could prove to be a surprising contributor for the Lakers this upcoming playoff season. The total gummy package is here.